Have you ever looked at your bank account and just felt stuck? Like you're working your tail off, but somehow never really getting ahead? So today, we're going to try and crack open that exact puzzle.
Yeah, this is the question, right? It's the one that keeps so many of us up at night. You feel like you're doing everything you're supposed to do, but that financial pressure, it just never seems to let up.
But here's the thing. What if the answer isn't about some massive raise or, winning the lottery? What we're going to dig into today suggests the real cause is something way closer to home. It's all about these tiny, almost invisible patterns in our daily lives.
All right, let's get right into this first section. And this is a big one. We're often taught to believe that a bigger paycheck is the magic bullet, right? The solution to all our money problems. Well, it turns out that's pretty much a myth.
See, the real thing that drives financial stress or stability isn't just the number on your pay slip. Nope, it's all about what happens after that money lands in your account. We're talking about your mindset, your emotional triggers, and those daily habits you and I repeat without even thinking about it.
So, think of it like this. There are basically two different paths we can walk down financially. And as you can probably guess, they lead to two very different places. Let's break them down. Okay, look at this. The really interesting thing here is the mindset behind each path. On one side, the path to stress, it's all about the pressure to look successful. It's all about appearances. But the path to stability, that's a totally internal game. It's not about what your neighbor thinks you have. It's about what you actually have.
And of course, those different mindsets lead to completely different actions. One path is all about reacting. You spend when you're stressed, you buy stuff to get that little dopamine hit, or, and this is a big one, you inflate your lifestyle the second you get a tiny raise. The other path, though, is all about being intentional. It's about taking that pause before you buy something, actually having a plan, and just being consistent.
And really, if you boil it all down, here's what you get. Immediate gratification versus delayed gratification. It's that simple. One path is all about feeling good right now. The other is about being secure later on.
Okay, and please get this. This is so important. If you find yourself on that path to stress, it has absolutely nothing to do with how smart you are. It's all about learned behaviors, a kind of behavioral conditioning. Think about it. We teach ourselves financial habits through repetition, a lot of the time without even realizing we're doing it. But here's the good news, right? Anything that's learned, well, it can be unlearned.
All right, moving on. Let's see how this all starts to build on itself. Because this next part is where those small, seemingly harmless habits really show their teeth.
Just take a look at this list. We all know these, right? That daily coffee, the subscription you totally forgot about, the pressure to get the new phone every single year. Look, on their own, none of these feel like a big deal. They're just tiny little leaks in the boat. But you know what happens with small leaks over time? They can sink a really big ship. You want to see what that actually looks like in real numbers? Okay, let's just take one of those small habits. That daily $5 coffee or snack, whatever it is. Over 10 years, that one little habit adds up to over $18,000. $18,000! That is the insane power of compounding when it's working against you. And that right there, that's the whole point. Your financial future isn't decided by some big dramatic event. It's forged quietly in the thousands of tiny little decisions you and I make every single day.
So, okay, if these automatic patterns are the problem, what's the solution? How do we actually fix this? Well, it turns out there's one single, incredibly powerful tool that can change everything.
And that tool is just awareness. That's it. It's not some super complicated budget or a fancy new app. It is simply the act of paying attention. Of honestly and without judgment, just looking at where your money is actually going, so you can finally see the patterns you've been stuck in. And this is such a profound idea. Think about it. Nobody wakes up in the morning and decides, you know what? Today I'm going to be financially stressed. It doesn't happen by choice. It happens by default. When we're not aware, our behavior just goes on autopilot and we drift right into that stress. Okay, so this brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, and honestly, it's the most empowering part. How do we take that newfound awareness and actually use it to grab the steering wheel and get ourselves on a different path? And it's actually a pretty simple three-step process. First, you just observe. You watch yourself, no judgment. Then, the second you feel yourself about to repeat one of those destructive habits, you interrupt it. You just pause, and in that pause, you intentionally choose to do something different. Something more constructive.
I absolutely love this next quote because it just sums it all up perfectly. It reminds us that building wealth isn't about some huge, dramatic event. It's about the boring, ordinary stuff. It's the person who consistently puts a little bit away, who consistently says no to that impulse buy. That's the person who slowly but surely builds real wealth.
So let's be super clear about this. The goal here is not perfection. You are going to mess up. I mess up. We all do. The key is just to get back on track, to keep applying that consistent daily effort. Remember, it is all about progress, not perfection.
So, I want to leave you with this question. Don't try to change everything all at once. That's a recipe for failure. Just based on everything we've talked about, what is one small financial habit, one automatic thing you do that you can just start observing today? Just watch it. Because that first moment of awareness, well, that's where the whole journey really begins.